Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Happy Halloween, everybody! This is the Halloween It's Clobbering time, so I thought we would talk about comic book monsters. You know, not so much monsters, but like comic book monsters. And Marcus is with his family, so he's not going to be here. If anybody else wants to pop in, here it's an open invite. As I fix the cushion on my chair, I'm slipping off this chair. So anybody can pop in. You know the rules. If I don't know who you are, you got to have a camera. That just reduces shenanigans. And if I do know you, please use a camera. I like talking to people's faces. So let's talk about some channel accounting news. From My Comic is the home of Heroic Tales #2, which is in print right now. Where is it? So here is proof that it exists. This is the proof copy, meaning you pay like $40 and they just print it that day and they ship it to you. You know, it's all part of the added expense. And what you do is you get a copy in your hand really fast. And what you do is you look through it. So this is proof that you could. So here is one side is the patriarch fighting the subterranean. And then you flip it over and it's Mary Sue. I was so nervous about this comic. Like, I never did a flip book before. Well, I only did one comic book before, so everything I do is pretty much the first time I do stuff. Excuse me, I'm just coughing my brains out today. But so I was super nervous. So I really, really recommend anybody who's thinking about making a comic, pay the extra money, get a proof. The process that they do, and this is Comics Wellspring. You can see right down here on the sticker, Comics Wellspring, I think. But they are ultimately just the ultimate customer service. Ultimate customer service. I'm a freak. I ask a million questions. You can understand how nervous I was the first time I did this. You spending all this money, and is it going to be okay? People going to bust my chops. And I got a proof, and there was a page of word balloons missing. I submitted a wrong file. I was like, oh man. So for calm down, focus. So what I do is the process is you send them the files. They send you an image file back because it has to fit their format. So they send you back an image, and it's hard to tell, and then you say okay. Then they mail you the proofs, and I got to say, next time they send me the low resolution scans, I'm going to print them out because there's a couple of things I would have fixed. But by the time you get the proofs, it's not that bad. At least I didn't find any typos. So here is the Renzo. This is the A comic. A. This is Renzo doing Mary Sue and Renzo doing the patriarch. I call this the Josh and Jose. So this is Jose Garcia's variant cover. This is the B, and then Josh Howard doing Mary Sue, and then this is the ultra rare cosplay cover. This is Martina Marcota, who modeled as Mary Sue, and then Crenshaw modeled as the patriarch. So the inside is exactly the same. So I got 3 covers: A cover, B cover, C cover, and let's see, we got the devil over here. How you doing?
Hi, John. Happy Halloween.
Do I call you Beelzebub, Mephisto?
Mephistopheles is such a mouthful in Manhattan, John. How's everything going?
Good. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Oh, my hair's messed up. Let me put that on.
In New Mexico, Halloween is when they do these. Don't tell me. There's a word for it where they put the candles in the bags.
Luminarias, that's for Christmas.
That's for Christmas. Okay.
Yeah. No, we have Dia de los Muertos here, but yeah, so there's some of the Day of the Dead.
Not to dox you, but we talk about it every time you pop on. Mm-hmm. But in Albuquerque, yeah, that's Christmas, and they take paper lunch bags and put candles in them, and there's always a beautiful row with one just on fire. And I just love it. Nowadays, you could go and buy them like it's a paper bag with like a a fake candle inside.
Or you can do what my father does, and he just buys some plastic bags with like a Christmas light inside of them, and he just plugs them in.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with the screwing around with
But they look beautiful
and lighting them on. Yeah,
it's really nice to see a whole neighborhood, with all the bags. But the real ones don't last too long.
No, we only so if you're going to do the real ones, you got to do it Christmas Eve and leave them on all night long. And that's how it goes around.
And speaking of horrible monsters, we got Arkham. Oh my God, that's the most terrifying mask I've ever seen.
Hi.
That's right. I just tripped over and almost destroyed a $100 monitor.
Yeah, I was watching you move around. I didn't want to bring you up until you sit down. So how's it going? That's Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I was a little nervous. I didn't know if anybody was going to show up for Halloween because I hate seeing myself on that big screen. I try not to look. But we got Matt Bauer. How you doing, Matt? I don't know if he's still around, but come on in. The water's fine. Matt pretty much Matt when we did a conversation, me and him came up with the idea of this show, and he's hardly ever on it. So here is the link if anybody wants to pop in. And here's the link if anybody wants to
pick up. This is my reading for tonight.
What's that?
At the Mountain of Madness. It's Dark Horse's manga release. Have you ever seen it?
No, not that release. No.
Oh my God, dude, it's gorgeous.
These are musts. Send me a link to that. That looks awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Dark Horse is the one that produces it. This is the deluxe edition.
Let me get.
It's worth the extra couple bucks for the deluxe edition.
I don't need to have a banner, or I don't need to have this. So let me get rid of this.
Is that who publishes that?
That's it's originally it's a manga, but who does the American release is Dark Horse.
Oh, I gotta pick that up. Yeah,
I gotta find it upstairs. It's upstairs in the guest room. I have all bookshelf, but it's The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath, a graphic novel. Yeah, I got to get that. Let's see, John. That's the best I've ever seen your hair look. Oh, thank you. I finally got a haircut that I actually like. I lost like 20 pounds, so I guess get a haircut. Thank you. Arkham has the Dutch tilt. Yeah, he's like a Batman villain in Batman 66. Trick or treat, Geethy Cat. Yeah, trick or treat. Oh, my wife and I just went out to dinner, and we were just talking about some religions, like they don't celebrate Christmas. They don't celebrate Halloween, or like I know the Mormons, they don't say don't celebrate Halloween, but if you do, that's on you, kind of thing. Like, am I wrong? Anybody?
No, I know there's quite a few that don't celebrate Halloween.
Jehovah's Witnesses
barely celebrate anything.
Well, I think Halloween, if I'm correct, I know somebody in the audience or listening will correct me on this, because I believe what Halloween is trying to introduce old pagan religion, like what was it? Samhain is what it was called originally.
Samhain. Everybody has a different pronunciation, but I think.
And it was kind of a way of letting the peasants and the people keep their traditions, but kind of remaking it a little bit, where it's a little bit more palatable.
Right. Yeah, a lot of Christian holidays came from pagan roots. Like Christmas was, we don't really know when Jesus was actually born. We don't know the exact, some people say he was born in June, but they celebrate because it was, my wife is whispering August. I'll take her word for it. I don't know. But because it coincided with the Feast of Sol Invictus. So like the Romans who were persecuting the Christians could celebrate at the same time, kind of like obfuscating, hiding it in plain sight. I know Easter, a lot of Easter. Think about the eggs. What does eggs have to do with Jesus? It's
absolutely nothing.
And I remember when I was an altar boy, I had to light the Paschal candle, and Paschal is like an old pagan term. It's not Easter. So there's a lot. Just think, taking a Christmas tree. How much putting a Christmas tree in your house? That's going to be like the most pagan thing ever.
Wasn't also an Easter like Ishtar? It's from
Easter. Yeah, it's all from that. Oh, somebody says Happy Halloween, Mrs. Longbox. She's sitting over there. Yeah.
Hi, Mrs. Longbox.
How you
Happy
doing?
Halloween, ma'am.
Yeah, she just took my blood sugar because I've been so sleepy lately. I think it's because the schedule.
Yeah, because your blood sugar is fine.
You know, my blood sugar is fine, but she checks her blood sugar. I took my blood sugar. How boring is this conversation? Because I've been working 3 to 11, so I do nothing. I come home, I sleep late, I go right to work. I've been sleeping so much. I think I've just lowered my.
It's the change. It's definitely the change, dude.
And luckily, I'm so ahead on my scripts because I haven't written anything in like the script I sent you, Arkham, was one of the last scripts I wrote. It's been so long.
Well, there should be. Well, you and I talked about one other thing. Have you worked on that yet?
No, I just came up with the idea. I literally just came up with the idea. What? Now I'm getting mixed up because I pitched a couple of ideas. Which idea did I send to you?
It was the sci-fi. I don't know how far you're into your.
Oh yeah. That one. That one. That's gonna be a dark story. No monsters, nothing. Just man's inner humanity to fellow man. Kind of like maybe like a
Dune-esque.
no
aliens.
Dune has like superpowers and giant aliens and space. This will more be like The Expanse.
Got you.
Yeah. It's basically going to be horror in space. Tonic Mole and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Tonic Mole and I, all of a sudden, we were just having a conversation, and we both kind of like at the same time said we had these ideas for sci-fi stories that are horror stories. And when he explained it, I said my story could fit in this universe, this setting. So we just started calling it the Dark Universe. So he's like, that'll be great. Like, I'll do a dark universe. So he's going to come up with the rules of the universe.
Right.
There may or may not be aliens, you know what I mean? But it's humans exploring space and the horrors of space travel. You know, and it's inspired by our talk from the first Aliens movie. So we're thinking about that. We're thinking about that.
I just noticed Tony's wearing the wrong shirt.
What, the wrong shirt? Oh yeah. Get with
We got Nightmare on Elm Street.
Shirt. See, we're on the team.
Yeah, I'm busted. I'm wearing the same shirt that I wore yesterday. I was on Yang Yao Yen's channel. We talked about our top 10 Lovecraft stories.
I didn't get a chance to see that one yet.
Greetings from the haunted homeless shelter. There's the master hobo. A hobo shouldn't be homeless. A hobo lives on the rails, right? Is like a bum.
Yeah, hobos are never homeless. They're homeless where they go.
Right. Like I remember Sandy Peterson explained the difference. He said a bum refuses to work. A hobo is always traveling, and a tramp will find temporary work. That's the difference between a hobo, tramp, and a bum.
That's not what I think when people call me a tramp. I'm just saying.
We need a Haunted Tales book. Well, at the risk of giving too much away, I have a book that is Halloween-esque in the works. My 8-year-old scored a grocery bag full of candy. Good Halloween one. Nice. We didn't have too many Halloween kids.
6.
We had 6 coming to my house. Every year it's less and less and less. But the weather in New York is terrible. It's
I had flood. That was it. Yeah.
Brooklyn was flooded. 2 people died in floods in Brooklyn today. So, and I'm an hour away from Brooklyn, an hour and a half away. So, Arkham will be right back. Oh, was there a lot of kids dressed up in costumes in Albuquerque?
In my neighborhood, I only got 5 trick-or-treaters. Unfortunately, it's like what you said. Every year it seems to get less and less. COVID is what killed it. COVID is what killed this holiday, which is, it sucks, but what can you do,
Yeah. When I was living in a walk-up apartment building, and we didn't get many trick-or-treaters because nobody wanted to walk up the stairs anyway. So I was all excited when I moved here, and I bought a whole bunch of candy. I dressed up and everything, and nobody came to the door the first year. And then the second year, I was all disillusioned, and a bunch of people came. So now I got candy. I'm not dressing up, but we're getting drips and drabs. One little kid came dressed up as a Ninja Turtle. That was cute.
That is cute.
And then my wife and I are like, okay, it looks like it's over. It's windy. It's dark. We haven't had anybody in out, so we went out to dinner. And as soon as we were driving down the street, the ring alarm, 6 kids showed up on the steps.
Well, teenagers.
Yeah, they were teenagers.
So I watched to make sure they
Yep,
left
but
safely.
they said Mrs. Longbox is dressed as the Invisible Woman.
Exactly.
That's what I was laughing at.
Yeah.
So John, I was cleaning out my garage today. I found some old sculptures in a box.
Oh,
That
cool.
I did. Like I did this like little goblin dude. Just like old sculptures.
Oh, cool.
For casting.
That's cool.
Well, it's Halloween, so just show like the zombies and crap. Yeah, I sculpt too. I do pretty much anything. If it's artistic, I'm gonna touch it. And then I found this one. This is an old drawing. I used to love bombing like Halloween crap.
Oh,
mean,
Oh, yeah, that was cool, man.
You know. But I love going out. Like I even have an old painting when I try to paint once.
oh, that is gorgeous.
It's just bad.
That is gorgeous. My wife laughs because you always say my art is going to be bad, and then you show these beautiful paintings.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one too. Like I do okay, I think.
Well, that spooky nature scene that you just tossed over your shoulder was great.
It's acrylic, but some crap got spilled on it, so the page got stuck. And this is glow in the dark paint. So when you turn off the light, you can see the forest. You can see the green behind the forest.
That looks cool.
Yeah, it was a experiment I tried. You know, using glow in the dark paints and fluorescence. And does that look familiar?
Yeah.
And I couldn't digitally draw her face correctly for the scream that I wanted. So I had to go draw it in pencil, pen it, take a picture, scan it, throw it in there, and then we put it in there to get that face down. It's the trying to learn how to use digital medium to draw with is so different from pen and ink. So different.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine.
I'm trying to learn it while I'm doing it. I'm just like, how do I do that? Go look it up.
It's funny because Renzo Rodriguez, who's been doing all my stuff that so far, you know, I got other people, but Renzo, you know, he's the one I've been working with the most. He's done with pretty much everything. So I'm getting excited. I'm getting ahead of myself. Too much coffee, I guess. But he's done with all of his other obligations, and now he's working on Patriarch #1. And the way I work, Arkham will back me up, is Renzo knows all my characters, so he's just jumping in and drawing.
Yeah.
But there's new characters every issue, so I was like, let's do cards of the new characters, and then he'll do like 5 or 6 pages, and then he'll do the cover. And I you'll see when you're ready to do your cover arc. I don't give you any input. You know, you're the artist. Whatever you want to do, this is your chance to shine. So you do whatever you feel like for the cover. And so Renzo is like already like 5 pages into Patriarch #1. So we could probably
Think about it like an Art Nouveau style cover.
What's that?
I was thinking of like a Greek Art Nouveau style cover.
Yeah. You know, of course I get final call, you know, so don't go nuts before you show me. But Renzo, what was I saying? Oh, he asked me to draw some of the new characters, and it's been so long since I sent Renzo any drawings. So I'm actually nervous this weekend. I'm gonna draw some because I made like 20 cards for last issue.
Mm-hmm.
So I could use some of those cards because those characters will be this. So I got to draw like three characters for him, and it's I get so nervous sending a good artist my crummy drawings, you know.
No, that's just going to give him feedback. It's anything that's just going to make him his life a little easier.
Yeah, it's funny. Renzo is one of your characters. A couple of people who shall be nameless have been saying, "Oh, the Patriarch is my self-insert." Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's Renzo. Have you seen what Renzo looks like? He looks like the Patriarch.
He does a little, yeah.
He looks and he's been working out, so he's all like ripped now. So he looks like the Patriarch. So I'm going to send him a T-shirt when I get comics. You know, I send everybody who works on my stuff some comics. So he's going to get a Patriarch and he's got to pose in it, and you'll see. I joke around that my self-insert is Augie Carmichael, who you'll see.
Well, you know what's going to happen, John? If you get this to take off and you start really producing like numbers and stuff with these books, you're going to have to buy him a full patriarch cosplay outfit.
Right.
So when
Yeah,
he goes
well,
to go sign books, he's going to be in full regalia sign the books.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that make their own costumes. I'll have to talk to them about it. So Garfield's Bizarre Adventures. I hate that they have the at names. They're not, the last names are the first.
Right.
Name. As becoming a comic book creator, change your perspective on comic books after being a fan for so long. Yes. Matter of fact, just today I was super critical of a comic that I was reading. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not going to bring it up, but it was an indie comic. And first off, they involved Greek mythology, and it makes no sense. So that just bothered me. That's one of my pet peeves. When you call your character Persephone, she better have something to do with either plants or the dead. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just call her Persephone and she's the sun god, or you call your goddess of the sea and she has fire power. That just drives me nuts. So that was a strike court against it. But the most egregious thing was the storytelling. Every panel was beautifully drawn. And again, I don't want to show the comic, but everything was beautifully drawn, but there was nothing connecting it. It was like a series of photographs. You know what I mean? So it was, that is storytelling. So
would you say that was the names used just for the instant recognizability?
I think because they sounded cool.
Yeah. Like a Titan class dreadnought. What does that mean? It's a big something. It just sounds intimidating.
And like now I'm hyper aware because now that I got people that are going to bust my chops, don't matter what I do.
Mm-hmm.
In kind of a way, I'm kind of grateful because it makes me double check everything. So like it's like the first issue, there's a lot you could criticize. The second issue, there's stuff you could criticize. Patriarch number 1, I think it's going to be so hard to criticize that, but people will. If you don't like it, or if you just want to bust my chops, you're gonna find something. But I think it's making me better. Like, you know what I mean? Like now that I'm going out into battle, I'm making sure that I have better armor, if that makes sense. So
well, and not only that, I have more respect. I mean, ample more respect for anybody that puts their money where their mouth is, as opposed to any of these people that are sitting there on the computer, just berating everything and yet producing nothing. You know what I mean? I'd rather read an okay book, and I'd have more respect for, say, for instance, the creator you're just talking about. Story wasn't that great. Art was great. Pacing wasn't that great, but at least he did something, and you can respect that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's everybody's an armchair quarterback, but I'm going to show your page 1. You okay with that?
Yeah, but just not colored, not properly shaded, and I didn't draw her hand in at the bottom.
Yeah, so I
got to redraw that.
It's not 100% done,
no.
But this is the joke. Arkham says, "I don't think I'm that good," and then he shows me stuff like this, which is awesome. You know what I mean? So, but I guess it's good that you're your harshest critic. But look at that first. I wish I could make it bigger. Well, I'll do this.
I try to tell it cinematically where there's no word dialogue here at all, but you can see what they're doing and the transitions and of where they're going.
Right.
This bottom one, the reason why the contrast is so high and it's all whited out, that's going to be a lantern in the center, and it's radiating light as they're sleeping in the campground.
Right. But that's one of the two things. First off, it's just like, oh, here you go, John. I don't think I'm good. And then he shows me this wonderful page. Second off, this is great storytelling. There's no words here, and I doubt anybody is lost of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like I could leave the words out, and you could still follow the story. Like so far, I'm not going to show the second page because it's only 3 out of the 5 panels complete. But I could put up the 2 pages, and you guys could all know the story. I don't need the words are almost superfluous, or as I like to say, the words are only going to fill in the stuff that you can't possibly tell through the art. And to me, that's perfect.
Okay.
So that's the kind of stuff. When I'm still answering Garfield's question, I'm still talking about this question. I think it's the most important question. So the answer is yes. I'm looking at everything more critically, and you know, and since I'm now reading other people's comics, and I'm not going to go online and bash these people,
Right.
but if they do reach out and ask me, I'm going to tell them as nice as possible. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings.
Right.
But
you
now
can respect them for doing the work.
to look at my stuff the same way, and I think it's making me better. This is supposed to be fan reaction based. You know what I mean? Responsive, accept all criticism kind of thing. And I feel like I'm the only one who's responding to criticism. I got 2 people that trashed my comic book. They were trying to be mean. One of them I didn't respond to because sometimes you just don't. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of oxygen. But one of them actually reached out and said, I agree with your criticism. I know you were being mean, but you were still right.
Yeah, and there are going to be people that are going to be vicious.
They decided to hate me anyway, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's going to be guys that are going to be vicious to you, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a kernel of truth somewhere. They just didn't relay the message properly, in an adult form. And I'm guilty of that too. You've seen me the way I respond sometimes. And I think I respond that way is because I know how hard people work for their stuff, and just have some schmo who has never done anything in their life try to destroy it and try to destroy you personally because you made a book. It just baffles me how people can be that way. Yeah,
I'm trying to find one page, but one of my big haters was talking bad about me, and they brought up this page because I posted it on Twitter.
That looks cool. I like that.
Oh, the Saturn cat?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll bring that up in a second. I'm sorry.
No, that page is gorgeous. I saw that page.
But so I showed this page, and even this person said, "Oh, okay." Like they were ready to attack me, and they looked at this page and they went, "Okay," and then closed it out because this is unsaleable. I mean, there's no words on it. Maybe when there's words on it, it's garbage. But right now, as far as art, as far as colors, as far as character design, this is unassailable. This is awesome. And for those of you who are curious, this is page, I think, 4 or 5 of the story. That's going to be Bill Williams' Punchline Annual #1 sometime next year.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful. This is Renzo Rodriguez doing the artwork, and Oscar Crano, who's going to be my main colorist for now on. Nothing bad about Daniel. It's just he doesn't respond for months at a time. I can't work like that. So
yeah, you actually have quite a few good colorists working for you, and that's really hard to find, in my opinion.
Right. And, speaking of good colorists, if I could brag, I'm gonna brag a lot. Check out this page. This is from the same story. Look at that panel with the witch with the flashlight. Oh my God. That is awesome. That is Mel. She meets Moldy Maud. Moldy Maud is the witch that she encounters that, gets the story going. And I look at that page. I was just like, Oscar, that is some of the best coloring I've ever seen in any comic book. I am so proud of that. So glad to be a part of this story. I can't wait for you guys. This is going to be so. Bill Williams. I got 12 pages in Punchline Annual #1. I'm way ahead. Out of all the people he has to collaborate with, I'm the only one who's done anything yet. So it could be a year, it could be 2 years away. And then Bill said, once it's in that comic, I could use that story for my own stuff. So sooner or later, it'll be in Heroic Tales. Like I wrote it so that it'll work in both. And Renzo is just doing the cover. I gave him an idea for a cover. I said, how about make it like an old Justice League cover with all the heads along the side with their names underneath, like an old, George Perez Justice League. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. So Bill's going to have his main cover, and then everybody who contributed is going to have a variant cover. So there you go.
I disagree with this.
$5 from Shire Money. The worst comic book monster is Dr. Light, by an extension, Brad Metzler, writer of Identity Crisis.
I think he made Dr. Light into a legitimate monster villain in that series. And he was actually a threat. He was a joke. Teen Titans used to make fun of him. They used to call him, retard. Yeah. Because he was so pathetic. And you come to find out why he was so pathetic is because he was mind wiped.
Right.
I actually was one. One of the very few that absolutely love Identity Crisis because I take it as an Elseworld book. I don't take it as in
My
continuity.
problem with Identity Crisis is what they did to
Sue Dibney.
Dibney. You don't do
Right.
that to that character. Some
I
characters,
agree, but it made me fall in love with Ralph. I fell in love with the Elongated Man because of that series. And then when he died in Blackest Night, I got so mad. But I love the way him and Sue as ghosts are solving crimes together as a send off to both of them. Jeff Johns, great job. Loved it.
I'm a Jeff Johns fanboy.
Same with me.
Yeah, it should have been an Elseworld story.
I read it as an Elseworld story because it's not in continuity. It's not in a Justice League book. It's not in a Justice League International Superman or Batman book. It's its own limited series, just like what was the one with Green Lantern where he finally killed Arsenal? No, Arsenal ended up dying and Green Arrow ended up killing Prometheus. I consider that an Elseworld story, but it's fantastic.
Wow.
It's canon, but it reads like an Elseworld.
The problem with DC is you wait long enough, nothing's canon anymore.
Exactly. Very, 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 very true. And Hobo, just read it as an Elseworld. It reads, and you'll enjoy it so much more. So much.
You want to hold up what you hold it up? You held something up. I was looking to find.
Yeah, it was a Saturn cat of Uthar. If you're familiar with Lovecraft.
Oh, okay. That's one of the cats from Uthar, where it is illegal to kill a cat.
You cannot kill a cat.
Yeah, is that the first line? It is illegal to kill a cat in Uthar.
I love that story. Just the old people that show up and they're like, "Where did they go?" Don't ask.
Yeah.
Here's a cyber one for you.
Oh,
Yeah. So I do robots and stuff too. It's just right now this one's going to be a soft watercolor. I might try.
So I'll bring up one more of your art pieces. You've seen this colored before, but this is one of her name is Fable.
Yeah.
The only thing is I noticed that there's a coloring mistake. If you look under her rib, it's flesh colored by her elbow.
Oh, so right there.
Just got to touch that, and then then that'll be done. But I love that. I just absolutely love that. You know who your art reminds me of? That artist that you were showing, and I said this looks like your art. I can't remember his name, but it's a mix between like, why can't I think of that D&D artist? But he did a lot of work in the old D&D books and built a
little heavy influence on me for sure.
Yeah,
that's what I started imitating when I was a kid. Was those D&D books, and he had ads in the back of Marvel Comics, if you remember.
Yep. And this it's perfect for this story since it's. I always say that Heroic Tales is superheroes meets Dungeons Dragons meets H.P. Lovecraft. Hey, we got Crenshaw. Happy Halloween! Did you guys get candy?
No, I'm trying to keep my weight down still.
Does anyone remember the monster Billy that fought the Hulk in a cave? A large dark blue humanoid that had a little brother and sister that helped. I don't remember that. I'm reading Hulks that I have never read before. I'm up to a Hulk 175. I think I got to get up to like 230, and then I'm caught up to all the Hulks. They are awful. The early Hulks. How did Hulk get canceled?
Okay, I was just looking at that, make sure the necklace and everything was silver.
Yeah, I was explaining that to
okay.
This has appropriate of just people who work with me, but I'm thinking of making just chat groups of anybody who's working on the comic. So when I say something to you, Oscar also sees it. And
I think that'd be a good idea. So that way everybody's on the same page.
Because I explained to you that I'm particular about the coloring of the characters. Gold is male, silver is female, and stuff. And I explained it to you, and then I got to re-explain it again to Oscar. So I think I'll just do that. Gary Gygax's era is a lot different than D&D today. That is the most,
That is 100%. You cannot be any more true.
I know. I'm sorry I'm late to the game, but I want to buy King Fu hoodie, and I can't find it. Okay, well, you could. It's Kung Fu hoodie is. Let's see. It's right here. Oops, that's the wrong one. It is on the Fund My Comic Heroic Tales 2. Right here. It's all scroll all the way down. Add on only. So if you bought the comic, you could add this as an add-on and you'll get like reduced shipping. If I don't know if it's not.
Why do I need to take a shower all of a sudden?
But but if you having problems, let me know, because it looks like none of them sold on this. No backers yet. You'd be number one. So yeah, get the King Fu hoodie, and obviously, I got a box of them right here. I didn't sell out, so and even if they do sell out, I could order more. And I have a feeling once Heroic Tales 3 is in the mix, when King Fu is prominently displayed, I think he's gonna be big in Heroic Tales 3, and depending upon which stories I get from people who finish first, Heroic Tales 4.
Yeah, she has great assets.
Yes. He loves his wife. Will do. Okay, thank you. This is Arkham, and just stroll around the neighborhood. Kids everywhere that is awesome. That is awesome. Yeah. Living in the suburbs rules.
My problem is where I live. I live in the suburbs as well, but I live literally the second to the last block from the freeway. So I get no trick-or-treaters. I haven't bought candy in like 3 years.
Oh.
There's a main strip that's like 4 blocks down from me, and all the businesses open up and all the kids just do it there. Makes it easy for everybody. Small town.
So there we go. Let's see. I think I'm all caught up. Yeah. So if you want a Patriarch T-shirt, a Mary Sue T-shirt, a King Fu hoodie, like they're all available. Like here's mine. This is what I wear. I keep it here, but it's warm in my basement. So on the front, I'm such a bad salesman. I always feel like bad about selling stuff. I feel like a shill. But what?
We gotta get you a mannequin, put it behind you, and put the hoodie on it.
That's a good idea. So on the front, what is wrong with my brain today? So it says the Memphis Fighting Society, and it's got
nice
a dragon on it, and then on the back is the Tennessee Dragon.
That looks good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not a zip up. That was a lot. It's a lot of money to make a hoodie, so I didn't want to do the most expensive option and then eat a box of hoodies. You know what I mean? So far, the only ones I sold were in person. I haven't sold any online yet. This is the Mary Sue T-shirt, the St. Thomas Society, the fictional group that I made up that she's a member of. They're Roman Catholic scientists, and then the Patriarch shirts. They're all right here. I got everything but the comic to start fulfilling. The coins. I got the coins. I'm gonna put it in order for the Raven coins, because the Raven is gonna do with Heroic Tales 3, because it takes so long, because it's the North boundary. Oh, we passed out. Hey, Andrew. Oh, Andrew is here. That's the problem, is I don't know people's first names. I only see the second names. Howdy, how's it going? Still waiting for a Go-Getter T-shirt. She will. She has a small cameo in issue 2, and you've already seen the page, because it's it's that lineup. So she doesn't have a big presence. She's literally just one of the heroes on this page that they're using to explain something. But she will be a big part in Patriarch number 3. Patriarch number 3 is I was already warning Renzo. It's going to be, because he was just like, oh man, a lot of characters on that page. It's taken forever. And I said, oh, wait till you get Patriarch number 3, because it's the Metal League, which is the team he belongs to, fighting a team of villains. So it's going to homage my favorite comic book of all time, Avengers 165. So Hulk 222. So I didn't read it yet. 222. I think I need to read up to 250 or 230. Arkham fell down. He died, but he came back to life. So we've been filibustering for a while, for 40 minutes. Holy mackerel. Tony, anything you want to say? You've been sitting there so patient and quiet.
No. Whenever you're ready to start talking horror comics, ready to go.
Okay, so let me get rid of that. Yeah, thank you everybody for allowing me to talk about my. I hate saying product; it's so impersonal. My comics and everything, but I'll just put this image up because this is just a nice comic book monster.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So it's Halloween, and for It's Clobbering Time, I thought we would talk about comic book monsters. Yes, you can talk about whatever monsters you want, but this is a comic book show. So, Tony, you've been quiet. Anything you want to talk about, like your
I
favorite?
would like to nominate Solomon Grundy as my all-time favorite horror comic monster. Love that guy.
I'll look for a good image of him.
The roots of that character go back to Theodore Sturgeon's 1939 story, It. He was the originator of the swamp beast, the swamp creature that influenced the Heap, and later in the 70s influenced both the Man-Thing and the Swamp Thing. But I like Grundy because Grundy's weird. Grundy's like a swamp zombie monster thing. Plus I love the albino look and the ragged clothes and everything. I always liked Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, I like Solomon Grundy. I first encountered him in the what was it, the Super Friends, or he was one of the characters in the Legion of Doom, and then what's his name? Ted Cassidy played him in the TV special where they did all the superheroes versus all the supervillains, which is awesome. Watch that on YouTube. That is, I saw that live. I couldn't wait. I saw the commercials for that. There was no way. I sat there with my towel on, as a cape, watching that. But I love Solomon Grundy. It's funny that you mentioned. Well, not funny. You know your stuff. Theodore Sturgeon and It. That was the first swamp creature. You said that, right? While I was looking.
The first one. Mm-hmm.
Do you know who the second one is, or was
it? Well, it gave birth to. Well, it was ripped off by Hillman Comics. I don't know who wrote the story, but it was the Heap. The Heap came out a few months after It. So yeah.
The Heap, and then there was a whole bunch that culminated in Man-Thing and Swamp Thing. But yeah, the Heap.
Yeah, because Grundy came out in All American Comics 61, so that'd be 44 or 45. So yeah, that was the closest thing that Alan Scott ever had to a recurring arch enemy. He fought him like about 5-6 times, including a really nice 2-parter in All-Star Comics, where the entire team had to, the JSA had to come together to essentially abandon Grundy on the surface of the moon. They just picked him up and Alan Scott put him in his like a ball and just flew him up to space and dropped him on the moon and then flew back.
Right. Now, if I remember correctly, he fought Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, and his powers didn't affect him because he was made of like wood, and that
he was sort of and Alan Moore and later Rick Veitch. How do you say his name? Veitch.
He corrected me. I've been saying his name wrong for 50 years. Veitch made him into a like an aborted elemental that they tried to do something, but something went wrong, and that's why he's sort of part zombie. But yeah, the reason why Scott's ring didn't work on him was because he was partially a plant. It was essentially the story that Theodore Sturgeon created. Cyrus Gold in 1861 was shot and killed in Slaughter Swamp right outside of Gotham City. And they just left his body there to rot. And over the decades, like muck and crud and all sorts of moss and stuff like that just gathered around the skeleton until one day it achieved sentience and woke up, walked around, found a bunch of hobos that were camping right outside of the swamp. And that's where he got the name Solomon Grundy from the nursery rhyme. Right, because he was created on a Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which, all right, but it still works. Solomon Grundy is a tough-sounding name, right?
Created by one of the greatest comic book writers of the Golden Age, Alfred Bester.
Oh, okay.
And, I would recommend anyone out there, if they're sci-fi fans, go check out his book. It's on Project Gutenberg. It's free. It's called The Demolished Man. One of the greatest sci-fi books I've ever read. So yeah.
When you think of the way the DCEU treated Grundy in their animated universe?
Tony, what do you think? He's asking you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. So
I don't know if maybe my mic's too far away. I said, what do you think of the way the DCEU treated Grundy in the animated universe? I personally loved it. I think they did him
yeah,
right.
they sort of turned him into like a Hulk, like sort of a child of destruction. I liked him when and this is something that happened post-crisis to explain the fact that the inconsistencies in Grundy's behavior. In the 40s, he was a cold-blooded killer. In the 60s, when they brought him back, he became sort of a Hulk-like character, still dangerous, but kind of gentle and stupid. Then towards the 70s and 80s with Infinity Inc., remember, I don't know if you've read that, John, but he became friends with Jade. Remember Alan Scott's daughter? Yeah. So they to explain that away, they said that Solomon Grundy, every time he would die, he would get another personality. And I think that's what they did in the TV show. Yeah, well, he was, every time he would die, he would get I prefer him as the cold-blooded villain that he was originally meant to be. Those old Golden Age stories are just so creepy, so well written. Like he walks up to a guy and rips his head from his shoulders, just in one, like goes like that, and just rips it up. I like them like that. That's the Grundy we got in the Arkham games. Did anybody, John, have you played the
video games? Because I know that's all I would do.
Well, that's the Grundy I like, the vicious bastard. They have that's what he was in the Arkham games. I did not like the redesign of the character, though. They sort of made him look like Frankenstein. He had all sorts of stitches all over the place. He wasn't, he didn't look like the way he did before, but yeah.
Speaking of which, the way he's drawn there, and John and I, you obviously clearly know too. Remember when the 52 reintroduced the gray, the red, and the green?
Yeah, I remember.
Why didn't they make Solomon Grundy part of the gray? Clearly, he would have fit in perfect with that mythology.
He could have, yeah. There you go, classic Grundy. Yeah, I think so. I think he would have worked. I think the thing about him though is he's like the Hulk in terms of people. The level of inconsistency in that character is kind of annoying, because people want him to be good, but then some people write him to be evil. There's really no one.
That's why I didn't mind.
That's just the way he is for me. That's how I like him.
That's why I didn't mind the Rebirth retcon, especially when they did it with the DCEU, because of the inconsistencies. That way you don't have to think about it. It's like, how is this the same character? It's vastly different. It's because every time he dies, a new aspect of what he used to be as a human comes forth. And I love when him and Hawk Girl had this understanding, just like in the whatchamacallit, from the 90s comic books for DC.
Yeah, she sort of had a relationship with him like Jade had with him in the 80s.
Very similar. Very similar.
Mm-hmm. Did either of you read the James Robinson Starman?
Yes, I did. One of the greatest runs of comics in the 90s. Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny because I love that series so much that I became like a fanboy of James Robinson, and he a lot of his stuff is just not that good.
His Golden Age, the Golden Age Elseworld story that he did was quite brutal. Beautiful art, but very brutal. And then didn't like his Airboy.
Airboy was just disrespectful to the character. Gross.
Are you talking about the movie Airboy?
No.
Game Boy. Never mind. Different movie. Sorry.
He wrote a 4-issue Airboy, series, and it's about himself. It's about himself being assigned an Airboy comic, and he hates Airboy. So it's about hookers and cocaine and meat and failing his deadlines. And then the character of Airboy, who's like all like a goody goody, is like telling him like, you got to stop doing drugs, stop it. And I'm like, this is what I want from Airboy. Like, it didn't need to be Airboy. It could have been anybody.
So he's Tom King.
Yeah, it was disrespectful to the character. I didn't like it. But
yeah, it's Tom King.
But it was about him. It was arrogant. But anyway, in the Airboy, in the Starman series, they had like a slimmer, I hate to say like hipster version of he was like a kind, smart, but super powerful character. And he was benevolent. And one thing I liked about it is they were protecting that version because they were friends with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't let him die because who knows when he's going to come back. He could come back a murderer, all these different personalities. So I liked, like, there was like a sense of loss when that personality finally did get killed. It brought back as a, the hulkish monster. But I like Solomon Grundy.
I remember the Paul Dini and Alex Ross brought him back in the Justice, the 12-issue Justice miniseries. Did you ever read that one, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that redesign they did there, they made him look even more like a zombie, like he was missing chunks of his flesh and his face. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, anything Alex Ross is perfect. Anything he touches.
Yeah, somebody keeps bringing up Man-Thing, so I guess I'll bring up a picture of Man-Thing, and we'll talk about Man-Thing next.
The Man-Thing sort of looks like the Heap, only I don't know who designed him. I think it was Gray Morrow, but Gray Morrow added 2 more tendrils on either side, but essentially that's the Heap. Yeah.
Hey, John, I'm going to take off. I'm going to go to my senior neighbor's Halloween party.
Okay, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in.
Good to see you.
And mine is Anton. So Arcane.
Anton Arcane. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite monster villains. All right, guys. See y'all later.
See you later.
Bye, Arkham.
They can't do the living mummy. There's a good one. So we're talking about swamp creatures. We got to talk about Man-Thing.
Giant. Hey, John, you got a giant-sized Man-Thing?
Yeah, you want to see my giant-sized Man-Thing? It's the oldest joke. If you scroll back, you'll see a video. Just check out my giant-sized Man-Thing. Back when I was using my telephone, it's just an old comic book joke. But so Man-Thing is Ted Sallis. He was I forget how he got it, but they isolated a portion of the super soldier serum, Captain America, and he was in the swamps working on it. I don't know why, not a lab, but in the swamps, but go ahead. And then bad guys came to steal his progress. He injected himself with it, thinking he could fight off everybody. The lab blew up. He fell into the swamp, and he became a hulking mockery of a man. And whatever knows fear burns at the Man-Thing's touch. So like he's mindless, and he responds to intense emotions. So obviously it's kind of like I always felt bad because like you see this thing rising out of this, you could be a priest, you could be a good guy. Of course you're going to be afraid, and then the thing's going to be attracted and kill you.
Of course.
You know what I mean? He was like a mindless, and then later on he got popular. They made him like an empath. So like he responds to all emotions, so like if he knows that you're good, even if you're afraid of him, he doesn't burn you, kind of thing. And he's as strong as he needs to be. Sometimes he can fight the Hulk. Sometimes he can fight just Spider-Man. But when you punch him, he's sludge. And then he was stumbling around with really no purpose until that whole nexus of the realities.
Steve Gerber really wrote that character, reworked him, and made him different.
Instead of just being a shambling monster story, he had like a purpose. And somewhere in the Florida swamps, all the realities merged together, and he is the guardian. So like, kind of like Alan Moore turned Swamp Thing from just a swamp monster into the protector of the green. He's now the protector of all reality. So he could kind of like move between realities through this, and then somehow, that's the same nexus that Howard the Duck came through. He actually debuted I think a Howard the Duck comic.
Adventures into Fear number 19. Yes.
Right, Howard the Duck debuted in that. Yeah, so he's an interesting character that he never talks. He's not very intelligent. He's pretty much mindless. But I always felt like out of all of Marvel characters, this guy has the strongest plot armor because he shouldn't win. He's just a mindless, rock that moves, but yet he defeats whatever needs to be defeated for plot purposes, but I still like him. I like Swamp Thing better because I like that whole mystical, but they added a whole mystic aspect to Man-Thing.
Well, Swamp Thing has a personality.
Right.
This guy's just what you said. He's just the Thing.
Anton Arcane is Swamp Thing's nemesis. I just love him because he's the most petty villain.
When you were talking to Veach the other day, that is the guy that introduced so much to Anton Arcane. I mean, he literally wrote that man's backstory.
Right. And, yeah. And for those of you who Rick Veach followed, he had the unenviable task of following up Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, and he did this time travel story. And I am a nut job when it comes to time travel. So Swamp Thing was going back in time, and he meets Anton Arcane in the 40s.
No, it was World War I. It was during Enemy Ace.
Yeah, I wasn't being specific. I was just saying, and then the 40s version of Anchor would remember the World War I version of Anchor, and then Swamp Thing would go back, and he would remember the World War II version, and Anton Arcane's like, "What are you talking?" So he was giving Arcane messages, and that pretty much prepped Arcane to deal with Swamp Thing in the present. Lo and behold, Swamp Thing didn't. It was just so great, and then the whole thing was going to culminate in the Garden of Gethsemane. Swamp Thing was going to be the cross that Jesus was crucified on. You know what I mean? And DC okayed it. And I don't know if Rick Veach remembered this or if I'm misremembering, but that issue was going to come out the same month as The Last Temptation of Christ, the Martin Scorsese film, and there was already a big hullabaloo about that movie, and DC didn't want any blowback, so they pulled it at the last minute. Now DC is going to release it finally after all these years, and then Rick Veach stormed off, and I forget who took over, but they went back, like Swamp Thing went back into the Ice Age. And one of the things, even though this guy took over after Veitch, I think a couple people got mad at him. I'm trying to remember who it was. I thought it was Jamie Delano, but I'm wrong. I still like that story, and I like that Swamp Thing, when he was in the Ice Age, was weak and powerless because the Earth was covered in ice and there wasn't enough plant life to sustain him. I just thought that was such a clever little touch. I love when they do that. And then he went back and everything was.
I don't know how I feel about them making Jesus Christ into a fictional character, but I'm sure if anyone can pull it off, he can.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if Rick Veitch is religious or not. I don't know, but we'll finally be able to see.
Yeah,
we'll be able to judge for ourselves. But Jesus was in Ghost Rider.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in name only.
Right?
I mean,
friend. Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was a couple other comics I think Jesus showed up, but Jack Kirby had Jesus-esque characters show up, but they were legally distinct from Jesus. But anyway, let's talk about any other monster.
We could go anywhere. Do you want to talk about horror hosts like from the EC Comics or DC Comics stuff, or do you want to go to Marvel stuff like?
The horror hosts weren't monsters. Uncle Creepy was just a guy,
the Crypt Keeper was the spawn of a two-headed freak and a mummy. Remember that one?
The Crypt Keeper, yes, that is a monster.
Yeah, but you could go to Morbius. We could do Morbius, Michael Morbius. Yeah,
it's Morbid time, everybody.
Yeah. Weird, really crappy movie, but kind of unironically amusing. I mean, I watched it once; it was all right. I guess.
I didn't see it. I just thought it was he's not a character to sell a movie.
No, he's not a character that can keep a comic series either.
Let's see. I'll remove that and I'll share this. Yeah, there we go. I never liked this character. It's like commit to the bit. For those of you who don't know, part of the thing about the Comics Code Authority is that you couldn't have vampires, you couldn't have werewolves, you couldn't have zombies. But DC and Marvel did it anyway, but they did it in a half-assed way. Like, he's a living vampire. Then don't make him a vampire. You know what I mean? And then, if you remember, they made up that word "zuvumbi" instead of zombie.
Yes. Well, they got that from Robert E. Howard. He came up with that word in a story called "Pigeons from Hell," which really? I recommend. Very good story. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, then I think like Marvel would say the Magia instead of the Mafia.
Yeah, well, they did that because the mob controlled all the distribution stuff, and they didn't want to piss them off.
Right. Yeah. In my mind, the Magia was always the super-powered organized crime, and then the mob or the Mafia was the normal Punisher. But what do I know? But I don't know. Commit to the bit. So they made Morbius. So he was a doctor. What was he suffering from, like anemia or something like that, or like?
Yeah, like that. And he created some sort of serum that had this effect of turning him into essentially Michael Jackson, circa 1994.
Yeah. And because of this serum that he needs to drink blood to replenish the iron or whatever.
Now it gets funnier, John. I don't know if you watched cartoons in the 90s. Did you ever watch the 90s Spider-Man show?
Yeah.
To get away from him biting people, they gave him like suction cups on his hands, so that's how he would like drain you. Yeah.
Yep. And it also gave him the ability to glide with those crummy wing. Yeah. I just never liked this, and his name just happened to be Morbius. I just never liked this character, and I was like, I don't want to see this character in a movie. If maybe someday when I'm sitting in my chair and I'm curious, I got some extra time, I'll watch it. But I just found this character to be a goofy. Hey, I got my blood. How you doing?
Would you consider the Hulk to be a monster? I mean, kind of.
Yeah, well, like, it's funny because in the Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition monster manual, they have like a whole page of what is a monster. And and they talk about like, is a serial killer a monster? Like, absolutely. Like, a monster is just, but like, is a good monster a monster? Like, let's just say like Solomon Grundy when he was benevolent. Is he still a monster? Yeah. So monster is a weird word. You know what I mean? So like, I was going to say, let's start off the show by defining monster, but that'll take an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is Morbius a monster? Like, is Spider-Man a monster? Like, he would be if he was a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So monster could be a verb, an adjective, a noun. Like anything that, like we could all agree Ted Bundy was a monster.
Oh yeah.
Saddam Hussein, Hitler. You know what I mean? But like, is Godzilla a monster?
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I see Godzilla sort of like I see Hulk, the way I see Grundy. He's just chaotic. That's what he is. He doesn't mean to do. It's like the first Frankenstein movie. He killed that little girl on accident. He didn't mean to do it. He just did it. And when the villagers were surrounding him with pitchforks and torches, he killed a bunch of them. He didn't want to do it, but he did it.
Like does monster mean that you have to have like knowledge? Like, do you have to have wisdom to know what you're doing? Like is an insane person a monster? I think like Ed Gein, he was like legally,
yes,
like he's still a monster. I mean, he's drinking blood. I mean, he's drinking from his mother's skull. That's a monster. So I was think about it like a hydra. To me, in Greek mythology, a hydra is just an animal, but is that a monster?
For the intents of this thing, I would say monsters are like Halloween-y type monsters. you know,
Right.
like vampires and werewolves and muck monsters and stuff like that. Yeah.
So again, like defining monster. Like I invite anybody to come with like an all. Matter of fact, I'm going to look up the definition of monster. But like, this is what I envisioned for tonight's topic: is stuff like this, like the comic book Halloween.
Yeah, there you go. So would you consider the Thing? Which one's a bigger engine of destruction? Which one's more chaotic, the Thing or I don't know, the Hulk or Frankenstein?
The Thing always had, like, even when the Thing went on a rampage, it was more like a contained, like within Reed Richards' lab or maybe a car or two on Yancey Street.
I
But when
see.
they went on a rampage, sometimes they went a little too far, if you ask me. Like in the John Byrne era, he took down a plane with passengers. He
I
killed,
remember that.
and I remember reading that, and I said to my friend, like, the Hulk just killed more people than Mr. Hyde.
Mhm.
And everybody agrees Mr. Hyde's a bad guy. Like, and then the Hulk is going to be hanging out with the Avengers in 2 years from now. Like, you can't. You got to be like, they always say, like, oh, even when he was taking out buildings, Banner was keeping it so that nothing was getting destroyed. I don't know. You can't have it, like, if you're going to be like a mindless engine of destruction, you can't be a superhero. Like that.
Yeah.
That's been my problem with the Hulk, which is why I think he works best out in the desert. He could rage, and nothing gets destroyed. But Hulk in New York City, like, if he loses control, even on a Sunday, there's custodians, there's people in a building. They always say that. Oh, good thing it was Sunday.
Well, if you read the old stuff, Lee and Kirby, he killed a lot of army men, quite a bit. I mean, it's obvious that he did.
Yeah,
Picking up tanks and hurling them.
they always showed like parachutes in the background, or you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't know. Hulk is
Or here's another one, Jack Russell.
Jack Russell is Werewolf by Night.
Mhm.
I just read Werewolf by Night up to 25, I think, and commit to the bit. Either he's a werewolf or he's not. You know what I mean? Like, is he a monster? Like, they wanted to make a comic book about a dangerous monster that loses control 3 days a week, but they also did it within, like, the Comics Code Authority. So he was always about to kill somebody when something like the sun would come up.
Well, funny you should mention that. They're Dracula. The main continuity Dracula, he was a supervillain. That's what he was. He was always trying to conquer the world, blah, blah, blah. But the real Dracula, the one I liked, were from the black and white magazines. Because that was real Dracula. That was, violent, gory, moody Dracula. That was my favorite version of him. Man-Bat.
Yeah, Man Bat.
That's a good one. I like Man-Bat.
I always put I always thought, like, Man Bat. What was his name? Langston something.
Kurt Langstrom. Yeah.
Kurt Langstrom, and then like Kurt Connors. Oh, it's funny, they both have the name Kurt. I always thought in their human identity, like, they would commiserate. They would work in the same lab and be like, "Yeah, he was the lizard last. Yeah, I was Man Bat last." It's just wreaking havoc on my marriage. Like, that would be like a funny comic, like the Kirk Institute. Like, all of these scientists, like Ted Sallis turns back to normal. It's like, man, for like 12 years, I was this man thing.
Well, Man-Bat was more like the Hulk. He was like chaotic. The lizard was evil. I remember the lizard wanted to conquer the world, make everyone into a reptile person. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because who was I talking about that? Like, but like the lizard, like like the triune brain. There's 3 parts of the brain, like the id, the ego, the super ego. Like, lizards have just a brain stem. Reptiles, that's called the R complex, and that is the housing of, like, mating, hunger, survival, like all the baser instincts, and that's the id. And then we have the cortex, which is the ego, and that has higher brain functions, like we could do rational thought and everything like that. And then there's the super ego, which is the mammals have a cortex, and then primates have a super whatever. I think I'm getting the pieces mixed up, but anyway, and that's the super ego. So primates, I definitely believe they have like some sort of like emotional capability. So like mammals, primates, and then reptiles. And the lizard is all R complex. It's all id. So I always liked that he was nasty and like wanted to eat and wanted to take over. Like it was all territoriality. It was all aggression. And like you get close to him, he attacks because he's R complex.
Definitely the most dangerous one out of the original Ditko villains, I thought. Yeah.
I always liked that. Yeah.
Did you like him in the movie where they sort of made him this weird naked thing with the round head?
No. Just the lab coat and a crocodile face, that would have been so great. You know, why you gotta prove you're not better than Ditko? You know, what have you done? You know, I just want to grab, what have you done? You think you know, have you created anything that's lasted 70 years? Then stick with the guy that has.
I agree.
Clayface is a pretty scary monster. Yep, I like. You know, what's
well,
it like?
Clayface. Like we got three. We got the Basil Carlo serial killer from the 40s. We have the Matt. God, what was his last name? The one from the Silver Age, which found a pool of radioactive liquid that gave him the powers. Or we have the perfect one from the BTAS show, which was a mixture of Basil Carlo and the Silver Age one, which I think a lot of people remember and love. That was certainly my favorite. But yeah.
Somebody said they just ordered my hoodie. No, I didn't get it. I just spent a while trying to order the hoodie. Did you get my order? No, I did not. And I just refreshed, and it doesn't show. Did you order the comic? Because I think add-ons you can only add on once you order the comic. So, Old Dirty Fatty. If you order the comic and then add on the hoodie, and then I'll reimburse you the money for the comic. See if that works. Oh, so you never ordered the comic? Okay. So yeah, it's an add-on. If you want, you could PayPal me at johnslongbox@yahoo.com the price of the hoodie, and in that transaction put your address. How much is the hoodie? I don't even know how much. The hoodie is $65 plus shipping, so $75. So if you want to PayPal me $75, put your address, what size you want, and I'll send it to you. How's that? Okay, that goes for anybody. You don't have to. Just that means Luke Stone. I'm sorry, Luke. You don't get your 1%. Sorry, Luke. Zebu, the Titan from Saturn, he's a monster. Like our space aliens monsters, because they're all the same on their planet. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I mean, what the thing from Who Goes There? Is he evil because he's eating all these people and taking them over, or is that how he's trying to survive? That's survival for him.
Well, we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. That's what makes him so scary. Is we literally don't know anything about them.
Well, I think the only villains that they were villains were H.G. Wells's Martians, because they came here to conquer us. That was about black and white as you can get.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the third Clayface man, Preston Payne. That came from that wonderful Steve Englehart Marshall Rogers run. I don't even know what the hell happened to him, but he was a cool Clayface. And then he hooked up with the another Clayface, the fourth one in The Outsider. She was the female Clayface, and they had a little Clayface baby. That I know they had it in the Alan Grant Shadow of the Bat run. There was a mini series there. The baby got kidnapped. It's been so long I've forgotten that. But,
yeah, Thanos is a monster. Yeah, he's different physically than the rest. I don't know if they're retconned it, but the Thanos that I know was a Titan. His father was Mentor, and his mother was, I forget his mother's name, but his twin brother is Eros, love and death, and he looks different. He's the first ugly being on Titan, which were which were Eternals from Earth. They came there,
Mhm.
and he just because he was ugly, I guess because his mother named him Thanos or whatever. Like he just became obsessed with death. Yeah, and he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
Is so much better. The movie version just makes him a moron.
Yeah, the movie version was Bill Gates. There's too many of us. We gotta, have the population. Blah blah blah. I too preferred the Jim Starlin version, which is a weirdo obsessed with death. That's what I liked.
I just wonder if they think that would have been too scary for kids.
Possibly. It's the same reason why if you watch the first Captain America movie, there are no Nazis to be seen, but Hydra agents are everywhere. Nobody's firing weapons; they're firing laser pistols. So,
I know.
Probably,
yeah, I agree. Commit to the bit. Commit to the bit.
No, they just Marvel didn't want to show any Nazi imagery. That might offend some people, even though Captain America literally was known for punching Nazis in the face.
Yeah, he was punching Hitler before it was cool.
Exactly.
And smashing commies, I must point out.
Oh yeah, everyone forgets about the 50s. That's the thing. I think who was that? Was it Steve Englehart that did that one where they brought him back as the Grand Inquisitor, the 50s Captain America that he. I forgot who was the guy that wrote that, but that always pissed me off. The 50s Captain America was the commie smasher, was neo-Nazi. Remember?
Was somebody else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Darkseid is a monster. Yes, Darkseid is the devil, right?
Well, yes and no. If you read the Fourth World, Kirby gives a little window into Darkseid's past. He was a good person. He married this woman, Calabax's mother. I forgot her name, and he loved her. Her name was Sully. Thank you, Sully. And they loved each other, and she tempered his personality. And Hegra, his mother, hated that, and she wanted him to marry a woman called Tigra. So she made Desaad, Darkseid's best friend, poison Sully. And then with her out of the way, she forced her son into a marriage with Tigra. And that became where Orion came from. Okay. And that's what turned Darkseid evil. That's why Darkseid killed his mom, took over Apocalypse, and da-da-da-da-da-da. So if he would have been with Sully, and he would have left him alone, rather, he would have grown up to be a good person, I think. Yeah.
This is all Kirby? This is all Kirby?
Yeah, that was Kirby.
I never read the original Kirby New Gods yet.
It's great. It's great.
I've been buying them all out of order, and when I fill in the gaps, I'll read them.
Yeah, it's his masterpiece. It's the best thing he ever did, I think.
I bought the omnibus of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should read the omnibus. That tells you the whole thing.
They have to recolor it. I can't stand when they take old comics and they recolor them, or it just looks too bright. Like a lot of people are reading Kirby's Fantastic Four now for the first time on nice Baxter printed paper, and the coloring is off. I don't know if they use the exact old coloring that's made for newsprint and then put it on good paper and it looks weird. But like I can't stand it. So like it's so jarring to me that I'd rather wait until I get older newsprint comics and read it the way Kirby intended. Yeah. But what is Darkseid's immigration policy? Yeah.
The hunger dogs. He keeps them in their ghettos. He keeps them there, yeah.
And Darkseid is lawful evil, if you ask that. Would the Crow count as a monster? Good question. I've never seen the Crow movie. I've never read
the Crow is essentially the Jim Corrigan Spectre. That's what he is. He's a vengeful spirit. So yeah, I don't think that's a monster. He's just a agent of vengeance.
Is the Spectre a monster?
To the criminals that he goes after, yeah. I mean, he did some pretty screwed up stuff. I don't know if you remember the series from the 70s. Remember with Jim Aparo?
He turned you into a candle and light you on fire.
Yeah, exactly. He turned a guy into like a rat or something. Yeah, he was pretty violent.
Scissors and cut people and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I read the Crow book. My God, it's very depressing, but a good read. I gotta read it. I gotta read it.
Yeah, the original James O'Barr run. You should read it, John. It's only 4 issues. I mean, it's a quick read. It's really good.
Yeah, I should. What was I gonna say? I forget. But we covered Dracula. What about it? The I Mummy, right? Isn't the living?
Yeah, the Living Mummy. I barely know about him too much. You would have to do. I know more about like the Universal Mummy than I do about him. So you might have to.
I just know he was an Egyptian pharaoh that came back. They open up the casket and he just walks around and gets into adventures. The problem with mindless characters is they just stumble around.
Yeah. That's the reason why the Incredible Hulk always bored me. It was just the same story again and again. He just,
especially the issues that I'm reading. From Hulk 100 and to where I am now, like 170. It's just awful. It's just a dumb guy's wandering around, and it's literally every issue. Like if Thunderbolt Ross wanted to solve the Hulk problem, just leave him alone. There he is. He's in the desert right now. He's not bothering anybody. Just leave him alone. Airdrop food and leave him alone. That's what they should have done. But it's just I just don't.
Yeah, it definitely picks up when Peter David takes him. Peter David was the guy that made him work.
Peter David was a high point of the Hulk. Peter David was the first time that I consistently bought the Hulk. Before that, it was just like I wanted a comic book. We're going on a trip. Let's shut this guy up here. Is the only comic I don't have, so I pick up a Hulk or other people with Hulk comics. You back from the party already?
Yeah, I just wanted to go over there and say hello. It's seniors. They moved in. I helped them move in when I saw them struggling. So I check up on them every now and then.
Okay. What other monsters are there?
Well, what about Frankenstein? Because you have like the one from the 40s that was started off as a horror comic but became humor. Or we could do the Marvel version of Frankenstein, which is essentially Frankenstein.
Yeah. So obviously Frankenstein's a monster. Frankenstein's monster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the comic version and the book version are almost the same character. I love the book. It's one of my favorite.
Mine too.
Horror books. I love it so much better than Dracula. But I got to reread Dracula. I just remember it being dull. But
it's a great book, John. Like I said, it fills in a lot of the people think of Dracula, all they see is Bela Lugosi. You read that book, you see he's a lot deeper and a lot more dangerous and formidable, than people would give him credit for.
Ross just wanted to kill the Hulk. Later on, he became like the Red Hulk or whatever, but he was just Hulk. Thunderbolt Ross was just Army guy number 7. Let's fight the Hulk because we really don't know what to do with this character.
No, it's because he was dating Betty and he thought he was a weakling and lame, and he wanted him to hook up with Major Glenn Talbot. Remember?
Yeah, that was early. Somewhere around like 140 or so, Doc Samson cured him of being the Hulk. And Ross was like, "Now you can marry my daughter," So I don't know. It's just so inconsistent. Yeah. Okay, so they will both be remnants. I think. Does Undead count as monsters? Yeah, I think Undead counts as monsters.
The zombie, Simon Garth. That was a good one. Didn't last too long. That was another mindless character, but yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking. Yeah. What was the DC comic? I Vampire?
I Vampire. That was from the House of Secrets. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
And then there was just zombie Simon Garth, and he just had that wool vest, just walking around.
Yeah, and he had like a medallion, on his chest. He was created by Bill Everett of all people back in the 50s during the Atlas time.
Okay.
And the 5th issue of Menace. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was talking about Frankenstein. This is pretty much outside the purview of comics, but it's just what is Frankenstein's monster? Is he a zombie?
Yeah, yeah. He's a reanimated dead tissue. Yeah, he's a zombie.
For
What do you
lack
think?
of a better term, yes, but I think he's more towards the Hebrew golem.
Okay, I'm with you.
He's a
I
flesh
think he's a golem. A zombie is mindless. You know, like so. This is just me categorizing everything because I'm a categorization freak.
How about undead?
Right.
Would that classify undead?
Yeah. No, Frankenstein's not undead.
Right.
He's alive.
He is alive because he was created from body parts of dead people,
Mm.
but it was brought to life.
He was
not
brought to life.
reanimated.
Heals.
Right.
Even in the book, his scars go away. He heals. So here's my thing: is a zombie is a mindless, soulless, but living body. Like you'll see sooner or later in heroic tales. Like I got a story that I cannot wait to tell. But everything's broken down to mind, body, and spirit. And if I ever do make my role playing game, it's going to be mind, body, spirit. There's so like, but an undead is your body is dead. But if you're a lich, you still have your mind. So your body and spirit are gone, but you still have your mind. So you're this undead thing that's still intelligent. A zombie is your body, mind, or gone. I mixed them up, but you know what I mean? Like a zombie is just mindless, just like body. But a golem has a new spirit. Your spirit is gone, and you created a new spirit. So like Frankenstein is its own thing. He doesn't have anybody else's memories. He's a patchwork. He was brought to life. He's actual.
So Solomon Grundy, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is in D&D. He would be a flesh golem.
Mm-hmm.
So like, would you make so? And that's why like if you read the I forget who it was, but the Rabbi of Prague who made the first golem in the there's a novel.
I'm familiar with the story. Yeah.
After a while, the golem started to disobey him, and that was always a thing. Because to me, he created an individual, and at first, he's like a child. I'm okay. You're the only thing I know. This is my house. You give me food, whatever. I'll do it. After a while, it's just like, but I'm my own person. I want it like, and some of them could be evil, and some of them could be good, or whatever. But they all resent. Like, listen, man, I'm a fully formed individual, and I got to obey you. Like, at what point, you know, Markham, I know you have kids. Tony, I don't know if you have. I don't have kids, but at what point does your child become its own person? Like sooner or later, every kid is just like, hey, Dad, thank you for everything, but I got to go off on my own now. Like, I don't have to jump at you. If you need me, I'll show up. But I got my own wants, I got my own needs, I got my own plans. You know what I mean? And that's what like a golem. That's what the problem with that novel is that sooner or later these golems develop their own path. So, like the rabbi said, if you're making a golem, it'll be useful for a while, but it'll turn on you because I made you, obey me, and that's going to cause resentment. I think that's but Frankenstein. If only Victor had embraced Adam, as he called himself, it would have solved all the problems.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
So I like liches are undead with their mind. Zombies are undead with just a body. And like the golem is a mind, body, and a new spirit. The old mind and body take it, and then it's a patchwork body, and then a new soul, a new spirit is created, just like a baby. A baby is a new body, a new mind, and a new spirit. It's the same with the golem, and that's why like it's like creating life. Ghost Rider's a monster, Nitrogen, the demon, Crypt Keeper. Yeah, the Green Lantern, Necron, he's a demon, right? So he's right in the hell. So he's obviously a monster.
Did you get to see Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein?
No, I didn't see it. I'm sure it's playing by me. I gotta.
It's actually I think on Netflix right now.
Oh, it is. It's already on Netflix.
It's made in tangent with Netflix.
What a way to sabotage a movie.
Yeah, right. Well, that's because that's the only company that would give Guillermo the money. So he made an agreement with them. I know last week it was in limited release. This week it's going to be limited release again, but I believe this is the final weekend. After that, it's just on TV.
Oh,
I
okay.
heard it's a must see in theaters because of the set pieces alone are just amazing.
Well, I'm a big fan of his. I'll
100%.
Yeah. Any other monsters? Anybody?
Hellboy.
What's that?
Hellboy.
Yeah, funny. Hellboy to me is not a monster because like he's so good.
Hmm?
Like even when he gets mad, he doesn't hurt anything. But he is a monster because he's demon, and then his parentage, his human mother is a witch, and I think his father was Satan or something like that. You know what I mean? So or Biel, I think. So like, yeah, he's supposed to be a monster, but his humanity is too good. But I love Hellboy, like the heroes that are not human and just want to be human. I love characters like that.
Well, who's not Bizarro?
Bizarro would be a monster, right? He's created depending upon his origin, right? He's created in a lab in some stories. Like what is he nowadays? Like he was like the most popular one that I know of. He's an imperfect clone of Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
But was he always like in his original appearance? Was he that?
Yeah, what he was Luthor's attempt to duplicate Superman, but because Luthor, as smart as he was, he couldn't figure him out because he's got completely different DNA. So when he scanned him with his gun or whatever, his duplicator ray, he came up with Bizarro.
So
And
where did Bizarro world come from?
Bizarro world is Superman basically flying out into space, taking the ray, scanning all of Earth, and then he made that. But then he went around and he cubed the Earth.
Oh, okay.
And then he told him, "Go live over there because you're wrecking everything over here." So that's where. And because he did that, you have Bizarro Lois and Bizarro Batman and Bizarro Green Lantern and Bizarro Flash, and you know.
Is Bizarro Flash the slowest being on Earth?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he is. And Bizarro Green Lantern is he's a yellow lantern, and he's so stupid he can't make the ring do anything. Yeah, so.
Oh, okay. Is Hellboy a kind of Nephilim? So, Arkham, Nephilim seems to be all the rage. I've been purposely keeping Nephilim out of my scripts or anything like that.
Nephilim is specifically half giants. They're half angels, if I remember correctly.
Right.
They're half angels, and they ended up being a race of giants. The Nephilim were like, if I remember correctly, what's his name was descendant.
Goliath.
Yeah. Yeah, anything right now, and I'm not upset about it. I actually enjoy that a lot of people are starting to get into ancient theories of ancient civilizations and cultures. Something I've always loved, and I think it's a good thing that people are poking and prodding. And you know what's ironic about that? Now that you bring it up, that's literally the whole premises behind One Piece. It's
really?
not about pirates. It's about the government controlling the past. Dude, One Piece just is blowing me away. It's so good. It's not anything I thought it was. Not even close. Sorry, I'm standing right now.
No, Old Dirty Fatty, did you just pledge on the site? Let's see. It doesn't look like it. I'm still at 178. Do you have an account with Fund My Comic? Because if you don't have an account with Fund My Comic, it looks like it. It's one of the flaws in it that I keep talking to Luke about. So you got to make an account, or I mean, if you just want to do PayPal, it's up to you. Fund My Comic. If you do it on that, it'll help my numbers. bragging rights, but if you PayPal me, it amounts to the same thing. Is Galactus a monster? I would say
An
no.
entity.
You don't think he's a monster?
No, I think anything that is an aspect is not a monster. It's not driven by those monstrous urges. You know, there's nothing monstrous about the way he acts. It's just cold, calculated facts and hunger. That's all it is.
He's a
He doesn't go like,
nature.
"Rah, I'm going to destroy our planets." No, he goes, I'm hungry. I'm sorry, you're here. Too bad.
Well, then Cthulhu is not a monster.
I would say Cthulhu is. You're correct. It's an entity. It's an elder thing. I don't think any of those are monsters because they're actually far above us to the point where calling them monsters means nothing. We're ants, you know. I don't consider Cthulhu and the Cthulhu deities monsters. I think Gugs, deep ones, ghouls, those are monsters. Yes, entities are not monsters, in my opinion. Demons maybe, monsters no.
Misery from Hellboy. I'm Airboy.
Yeah, that's a monster. That's one of my favorite. Jeff from Scud. I don't know that character. Old Dirty Fatty. I swear I jumped through a bunch of. Oh man, it's still active, right? You could.
Well, if you did jump through a lot of those, Dirty Fatty, maybe you might lose some weight.
Don't. You guys trying to bomb
Playing
my
with him
phone.
because of his
Don't
name
make fun of
only.
him.
I'm sure he knows.
Okay, I'm just making sure that I'm logged in.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. Because I get notifications if somebody buys something.
Hey, Old Dirty Fatty, is that like a play on Old Dirty Bastard?
I don't know.
It's a rapper.
Yeah. So I make an account. I mean, Kickstarter is closed. It's Old Dirty Fatty. If you just want to PayPal me at johnslongbox@yahoo.com, that's probably at this point the easiest thing. And include your address, write down the size, and then write down exactly what you want. And I can mail it tomorrow. I mean, unless you want a comic, then we got to wait until the comics actually get here. You know.
Here's the thing, John. Would you consider Mixes to be a monster? Because he's like, or Q, because he's like,
They're aspects.
we're ants, but he doesn't know, like, he plays with people's lives, he kills people, he turns them into cars or robots or toys. And
But does he kill people? Like
he kills people, but when Superman tricks him to go back, everything resets back to normal. But he does kill and does destroy. He's like Q from Star Trek, I guess.
if he does kill, then he's a monster. Like if he does evil things, then. But like, is Doctor Doom a monster? I don't like. Monster is such a bizarre term. Like, you know what? Now you got me. I'm gonna.
The difference between monster and monstrous act.
Yeah. Define
when you were talking about this, when specifically for like Marvel monsters, I was thinking like one of my favorite villains who people can call a monster. I don't consider him a monster. Is Annihilus. I love Annihilus when he's written right. He's an amazing villain. Is he a monster in the classical sense? Yeah, but I don't think monsters are intelligent. I think that's when you start going into the evil aspect. I think monster is something a little bit more bestial or sub-intelligent. If that makes sense.
It's funny because I'm big into etymology, but the term comes from Latin monstrum, meaning an omen or a portent, implying something unnatural or divine warning. So by that definition, Galactus is a monster. Because how is Galactus not a divine warning? Or an omen? The Silver Surfer shows up. It's an omen of. So basically, there's three definitions: a mythical imaginary creature, a person who is cruel or wicked, or something unnormally large or malformed. So there's three different definitions for monster. So I mean, so it's one of those words that have such a broad definition that it's open. Like
I think that the action, the definition 3 is monstrous. It's in the act of being a monster.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
The other two are physical states of being.
So like, I mean, would anybody define the Elephant Man as a monster,
I would never.
even though he's gentle and just doesn't hurt anybody? You know,
but somebody cruel definitely could.
So I think like, but then Hellboy's not cruel, but he's a monster because he is a divine portent. He's the
and he is slightly misshapen.
Right. So basically, if you want to define something as a monster, then I can't argue with you. You know what I mean? It's one of those words that we don't really have a definition for.
What would you consider Ultron a monster? Artificial intelligence.
Ultron?
Yeah.
Yeah, like is the Terminator a monster?
Skynet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a monster question. Are demons older than angels? Demons seem to be referenced before the fall. According to the Bible, everything was angels, and then a third of the angels fell and became devils. In my mind, because I always categorize things, devils used to be angels,
right?
And demons
are tainted human souls.
Were never angels. So like I don't want to spoil anything, but there are demons in my comics and future stories, but they would, where they come from, we'll find out, but they were never angels. So if you were an angel, in my mind, you're a devil, and devils are vastly more powerful than like demons would be, like the orcs to Sauron's devil.
That baby.
I don't know, but like, what is a demon? Like Marvel basically says anything that is a demon is just anything from another dimension. So there's good demons and bad demons, but to my way of thinking, I have a specific definition of demons and I don't want to spoil it, but according to the Bible, angels were first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about the Japanese context of demon. Demon isn't necessarily fire and brimstone. It's a spiritual creature that acts wicked, right? You could have demons that are what people would call a demon, and it end up being a good guy. Like a god can become a demon in the way the Japanese refer to the term demon. It's more of the action. It's more of your soul that's corrupted that makes you a demon instead of fire, brimstone, or the dimension you come from. If that makes sense. Like they always say, you fight like a demon.
Yeah.
Like a man possessed. Come on, baby.
Well, the word demon, it's like the Romans, the demons, the household spirits. And basically divine. They were like spirits that lived in your house that you worship. Like your uncle becomes a demons, like a household spirit, and that became demons. Because.
So do you want to, for the sake of Halloween, do you want to just focus on creatures?
I'm just having fun talking about this whole stuff. So like, we focus back to Halloween stuff. Like, are witches monsters?
Well, yeah, like the Wicked Witch from the West.
Like, first up, is Zatanna a witch?
Well, the way she started, she was just the daughter of Zatara, and then they in the post-crisis they made her like Homo Magicae or something, like a race of magic users that. Right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, how would you? I would say
like Harry Potter, like is a sub
exactly
of magic using beings within humanity, the Homo Magi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Baba Yaga is I clicked on the wrong one. Baba Yaga to me would be a monstrous witch, but Zatanna wouldn't be a monster. She's a hero. She's human. She looks normal.
Mm-hmm.
She does things. So that to call her a monster would say Aquaman's a monster. You know what I mean?
Well, Abe Sapien could be a monster. I mean, he's a nice guy, but
Abe Sapien, because he's malformed, doesn't he doesn't? Yeah, but yeah, and if you read the comic, he gets more monstrous looking as he gets older.
What's your favorite Universal monster?
My favorite Universal monster,
specifically in the Universal universe.
So that's there's a lot more than we remember. There's a whole list of them, but I think I like the creature from the Black Lagoon.
The Black Lagoon's my favorite monster makeup costume of that era. I would say Frankenstein is my favorite movie, but the best out of them, production, acting, all that, is Dracula. Bela Lugosi, you just can't go wrong.
Mine is The Bride. I like
Bride
her.
was very
The
good,
Bride of Frankenstein.
and she was kind of hot too.
Yeah, I don't think Zatanna is a witch. Well, that's just it. I was just about to type it, like, what is a witch? So define witch, and of course I'm going to Grok. That's my go-to these days over Google and everything. It's flawed, but it's less flawed than Google.
Hey John, I heard from somebody that they're thinking about renaming a street in honor of Jack Kirby over there. Is that true?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. If that's true, that'd be cool.
I know that in the Marvel movie, they named the street Yancey Street and left the street signs up. I don't know if they're still up, but Yancey Street was the Lancey Street in downtown Manhattan, and they just called it Yancey Street in the comic. But if they do change the Lancey Street into Jack Kirby Street, that would be awesome. I'd go there and take a picture. So, witch, a practicer of magic or sorcery, or a derogatory or figurative term. Okay, so an ugly person, you're a witch, or somebody who practices sorcery. So according to the general term, Zatanna would be a witch because she practices. It always bothered me in Harry Potter when they called like Hermione a witch, but I guess technically she is, From what I know, a witch is someone who made deals for supernatural power, but a monster witch I've always called a hag. But that might be D&D influence. Like I said, my comic book, a witch to me is just somebody who uses magic and basically calls himself a witch. You know what I mean? But like it's like a general term for anybody. But a hag is something specific. And I showed that image earlier where I was talking about the light that was Moldy Mary. She's a hag. And I don't want to give away too much, but hags are fairies that have been poisoned by iron, and fairies have this glam. This is my rules. Fairies look beautiful, and we always talk about fairy dust and everything like that. Well, they basically convert solar sunlight into this glamour. So they sparkle, they look beautiful and everything like that. But a star, solar power, the death of a star is when the solar core converts to iron. So the hydrogen turns to helium. And then once all the hydrogen converts to helium, it becomes a red giant. And then when the helium converts to carbon, it either expands, depending upon the mass, it either blows up or turns into a neutron. But once the carbon turns into iron, it's either a supernova, black hole, or a neutron star. It's the death of a star. That's the end point. Iron is the death of solar power. So fairies can't convert iron. They become hags. They're poisoned. And it takes a long time to work out of their system, or it never works out of the system, depending upon the wound. So hags are fairies that have been poisoned, and they're shunned by their society because they can't fit in. They can't do all the stuff. I have a whole big story about fairies coming up sooner or later. I love fairies. Yeah, they're different than elves. Elves and fairies are different. I almost spoiled what fairies are. Heroic Tales 5 might have a big story about fairies and what they are and everything. Bigfoot, leprechauns. Well, it's all in there. It's all in there. Humans are not meant to be praised, or anything that preys upon humans is, yeah. Like that's why Ted Bundy's a monster. Yep. That ex-girlfriend's a monster, who broke your heart.
Pennywise. I'm not a big It fan, but there you go.
Well, yep. Pennywise, yeah, he's definitely a monster because he's just an alien. Well, technically, he's kind of, sort of Lovecraftian because he does exist in a pocket dimension. It's not like an alien from another world; it's an alien from another dimension.
Yep. Yep.
Him and the God, what was that turtle's name? The ones it's not in the movies or anything, but it's in the book. There's a turtle that is the antithesis of Pennywise, like God to Satan. But
Oh.
in that aspect, and Conch, something like that, if I remember correctly. Conch, it's not Conchu, but it's something towards that nature. Yeah, and it's a giant turtle flying in space. It's Gamera, and it's in it. Maybe guys, when you read the books, you're like, oh, there's a whole nother being here.
It's funny because, like, would a race of space aliens be monsters? You know what I mean? Because they're the status quo on their planet. You know what I mean? Like, would squirrels be considered monsters?
That goes into the Lovecraftian fear of the unknown. You know, they don't know how to interact with us. We're completely. When I was a kid, when I was in early bit of college, I went to Japan, and I remember the culture there was so unique and so different, so strange. I felt like I was on Mars. You know, it was weird, you know, and it was like sort of reminded me that I was an alien among Earthlings. You know, I didn't fit in. I couldn't fit in there, you know.
Like what you said about Thing, John Carpenter's Thing. Is that a monster? Well, yes, it's a monster, but you know, is it a normal thing on its planet? Well, we don't know that. You know,
Exactly.
but like the alien from the Alien movie, that's a species. So that's in that world, that's a normal part of nature. You know,
Yeah.
plus the backstory says it was whatever, but like, is that a monster? Yeah, it is.
You could argue that the thing is the creature from the thing is different from the xenomorph because the thing seems to have intelligence, whereas the xenomorph is just a hunger. It just exists to propagate its species. It exists to take over something. Whereas maybe you could say that for the thing too. I mean, you never really knew what its main objective was outside of just survival. Would it really want to take over the world?
So I think a monster is something that's just
Malevolent.
not even malevolent, like just out of the ordinary. You know, it doesn't fit in. You know, like the Hulk is a monster, even though he's a good.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. So I don't know. That's that. But again, a monster. It's like defining what is delicious. You know, it's up to each person.
Well, here's the question, John. What was out of all the comics you've read, what was the greatest horror story you've read in a comic?
As far as scared me, or just a hard.
Scary you, or it affected you somehow. You marked it down in your brain, like this is a good story. You know.
I got a horror comic that actually kind of got me on a subconscious level. Where I was
All right,
like,
what is it?
That is actually spooky. I don't like that. Let me look up. It's a Jinjo Ito. If you guys know who that is, it's one of his stories.
I know him.
He's Japan's Lovecraft. So you might want to look into him, John. I think you'd like him.
Uzumaki.
Uzumaki is good, but the one I'm talking about is the one with the earthquake and the mountainside crumbles, and there's silhouettes within the mountain.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Because I have a slight fear of heights, just because I've seen things fall. Hasn't been good. So like when they're talking about peering into the silhouette and almost being drawn into it, like you have no choice, and how you're just drawn to it. I'm like, it's in it. The silhouettes are perfectly made for every individual that gets drawn there. I'm like, God, that sucks. And I have claustrophobia. I hate it. And the fact that once you get into it and you go down, and the fact that you can't stop. And I was just like, oh, and then how it starts changing you as you go further in, and the slow process of it starts. I'm not going to spoil it. By the time you find out what happens, you're just like, oh, that's so. Jinjo Ito, love him.
I got to check that out.
Yeah, just pick up his best of his works. There's like 4 best of short stories, and then of course all his series too. Another one, it's not a scary. It's more of a Lovecraftian atmospheric story. Is the thing that washes up onto the shore, that long like serpent creature, and they start examining it, and then they split it open, and there's bodies inside of it, human bodies, but they're not decomposed. What's going on? It's a complete mystery. They don't tell you anything. They spoon feed you stuff as the story goes.
I was looking up monsters. I think a definition that I'd like is something that doesn't belong. You know, just think about Ted Bundy doesn't belong. I mean, he's killing
That dude's a
people.
monster for sure.
You know what I mean? Like a monster is just, you know, I don't want to say out of the ordinary because like a genius is out of the ordinary or a midget, but like I don't know. Like I'm starting to realize that there's a flaw in that definition too.
I think it's just the traditional term of what we consider monsters, as opposed to going down to the root definition. You know what I mean? Because then we'll start picking things apart and saying anything can be a monster and nothing is a monster at the same time. Kind of
Right.
situation, you know. Do any of you guys go to Internet Archive at all?
No.
No.
There's an old manga that is not available. You can't find it anywhere. You can find some French editions of it, maybe German if you're lucky. It was called Bibliomania, and it's a story about a person who has everything they want given to them, but they can't leave. And the person looks at their caretaker and goes, "Oh, you're giving me all this?" They're like, "It's like, no, I'm going to do it." So they leave the door, they die. And it's all about this person keep trying to go through the door and try to get a little further and further, then makes it to the second door. And there's this progression of escaping what you perceive of everything you want when it's given to you and you don't have to earn anything versus trying to actually achieve. And
Just gonna fill up my coffee cup.
for sure. And it's how even it ends up killing her, but it doesn't matter. It's the point that one, I need to achieve. You know, if you give everybody anything, they just sit there and they waste away. And she's like, even death is better than this. And it's all about her going through these doors, and you come to find out what the real story is once you get towards the end. You can't find it in printing anywhere. And if you do, buy it. Even in a different language, it goes for $100 to $200, $300. If you find it in English, it's a $500 book. It's not been in print.
Yeah, I got to check some of those out. No, for me, it would be the anatomy lesson from the first Alan Moore penned Swamp Thing issue. I read that when I was a kid, and that creeped me out. And I loved how evil Jason Woodrow was in that. As he was slicing up.
More, but was it Bernie Wrightson that drew it? Who drew that?
That was John Totalbin and Steve Bissett. And I remember as a kid just being blown away. He's having this monologue with himself. It's very moody, and he's talking as he's removing his lungs, he's removing his brain, he's removing the contents of his stomach, and he's
that is literally Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro.
Exactly. And that's the only time Jason Woodrow was ever cool. I mean, no one's ever been able to write that character worth a damn, in my opinion. And the second one, and John would know this because he's the Sandman fan. What issue of the Sandman was it where Dr. Destiny went into the diner and he made everyone?
Yeah, that was issue 5 or so.
Yeah, and that one stuck with me. Those were two kind of not scary but kind of disturbing.
I thought that was scary. And little fact, it's based on a diner in Nassau County.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. It was closed for like 20 years, and they finally reopened it. I guess when people don't remember, but supposedly people went in there with shotguns to rob the place, and then the cops came and it became like a standoff. So they, just started messing with all the hostages.
Damn.
Yeah.
How about you, John? Did you ever read a horror comic story like that stuck with you?
The two scariest comics, it was Preacher, and he meets his family, and they're a bunch of monsters, even though they're humans.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesse Custer becomes friends with this black kid down the road. and they're horrible racists. You know what I mean? And they're like, you can't be friends with them. So Jesse was like sneaking out to be friends with this kid. He's like 9 years old. And then like, okay, we told you can't be friends. We're gonna punish you now. And then the next punish, you see Jesse's in a coffin. And he's just like, you're gonna be in there for like 2 days as punishment. So Jesse's just sitting there in the coffin, and he's just like, this is like the ultimate. I hate this, whatever, blah blah blah. And then they pan out, and the little boy's black friend is dead on top of the coffin. It was just so shocking, And then the other thing that scared me is years later in the comic, I forget who's in the hospital, and her star comes in to interview him. Like, where's Jesse Custer? I need Jesse Custer. And her star comes in with another guy. The guy's in a body cast, and her star takes his chin like this, so he can't. And he's like, the guy's paralyzed. He has no feelings. And he's like, what's your friend doing? Like, what's that other? He goes, never mind. And he starts talking to me. He goes, you know what Spetsnaz are? They're the most highly trained, the most dangerous. He's going on. He's like, my friend is Spetsnaz. They're trained to survive. He goes, some of them are even cannibals. And then he turns the guy's head, and the Spetsnaz guy is literally eating the guy's hand, but he's paralyzed, so he didn't even know it. It was like, So to me, that scares me, because there are crazy people. Like the movie Hostel, I watched that once. I'm never ever gonna watch it again, because you're gonna tell me it's not some crazy person in Eastern Europe that is, it happened in Chicago with that H. Holmes. He had
yes, the murder house. Yeah,
I could watch a Dracula movie because there's no vampires. You know what I mean? I could watch a Frankenstein movie because there's not a scientist to this point resurrecting the dead, and you know what I mean. But there are serial killers.
Yeah.
A story about Elizabeth Bathory is scarier to me than a demon. Like my scariest movie is Rosemary's Baby, and you could take out all of the supernatural in that movie, and it's still terrifying, because here is a young woman who trusted her husband, obeyed her husband, and he betrayed that trust to a crazy cult, and everybody was in on it. She went to the doctor was in on it. She goes to the laundromat, like, it was just, the whole conspiracy is scary. So those are movies or comics that scare me. Like real stuff scares me more than horror movies. Like my wife is scared of like slasher movies. I'll watch Jason movies and you're like, oh yeah, oh that gross, oh that was cool, but it doesn't scare me.
You know, a movie actually wasn't a horror film, but just like what you're describing about real disgusting people and how real people are scarier. 8mm, especially working in Hollywood, especially meeting people like that. It's a
what was that movie about? I think I'm mixing it up with
film. It's Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix. He plays a guy that works in a porn store. I'm trying to remember. Nicolas Cage, I believe, is the. Let me look it up. I don't remember all the actors, but I remember.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this movie, and I don't think I want to. I think this is exactly the kind of movie that would scare me.
It is brutal. It is not for the faint of heart. It's
that
about
was
snuff.
pretty brutal, but the worst one I saw was one called The Serbian Film.
Oh yeah.
I watched it once, and I never want to watch it ever again.
No, you should never watch a movie ever twice. Serbian Film does what 8mm is about, but without showing quite as much, because Serbian Film shows everything. And
not the baby part, thank God. You can hear the baby part.
That man would have been taken out and shot if they would have showed that.
Yeah.
But the fact is, there's enough implicated that it will turn your stomach if you have a heart or any consciousness. 8mm is basically as if somebody found that Serbian film. That's what 8mm is. Nicolas Cage is a private investigator. A man passes away. His widow finds the snuff film and hires him to find out if it's real. And he goes down to this shady world of Hollywood and the underlining of the worst parts of the porn industry and stuff like that. 8mm is brutal and very realistic in a lot of ways. Just how quickly one of those girls can disappear, and nobody will even think. Sad.
Another one I remember was a film that was so vile, and everyone hated it so much they killed the director. The director was called Paolo Pasolini, and it's
Which
called Salau, or 101 Days of Sodom.
Yep.
Yeah, and
it was
that
about
was pretty rough,
the Italian aristocrats.
Yeah,
who just said
yeah.
fuck it at the end of the war. And
Exactly,
did whatever they wanted to do.
based on the Marquis de Sade's novel. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've
They
seen that
killed
one.
them,
I've seen
like
when I was
like
younger. I was
mob
into
violence or like a trial.
They run him over. Yeah, or they
It's
shot
basically
him.
the aristocrats doing whatever they wanted with the poor.
Mhm,
They're
mhm.
bored and they know they're going to die, so
Yeah.
they're just having fun before the
Yeah.
military forces that are coming in will wipe them out. So they're just enjoying their last few days and playing with peasants.
Yeah, there's some pretty vile films out there.
Oh,
Another
absolutely.
one was Audition. That the Japanese.
I
You
wouldn't
seen
think
that?
I don't think that's vile. I think that's more psychological. Even at the
Yeah.
end, it was brutal. It was brutal, but I love the cat and mouse of him wanting a perfect woman so bad, and when he got it, it's just like, ooh, be careful what you wish for. Along with that, perfect monster segue into the same style of films. Martyrs, the French version.
Oh, I
Those
remember
are the
that.
most monstrous friggin' people you will ever see in your life.
Yeah.
I love the end. Keep looking. I was like, oh, all that for nothing. I loved it. Yeah, watch the French version. The American version isn't bad, but it lacks a certain, since it is French, je ne sais quoi, that the French film does have. And the American version it touches all the surface level things. It just doesn't go quite as tasty as the French version. The acting in the French version was better. Like the girl, when she ran out at the very beginning, you're like, oh my God, this looks real. You know what I mean? When she's panicking and she's like in her underwear running out of the industrial complex covered in blood and dirt. You're like, run, child, run. You know, in the American version, you're just like, oh, it looks like an actress. You know what I mean? All the American models, they're all modelly and stuff like that. With the French one, they just look like real people. So I enjoyed that a little bit more.
All right, well, you've been talking for 2 hours. Let's get back to like Halloween. So what is like your favorite Halloween monster comic? And it doesn't have to be a comic about, but we're talking about like witches, werewolves, and out of all the like Son of Satan or something like that, I Vampire.
My favorite one
by doing a fantasy.
Go ahead, Arkham. Go ahead.
I said, is it cheating by doing a fantasy series?
Well, what is it?
Berserk.
I don't know it, so I can't.
Berserk is 100% my favorite monster series. The monsters and the art in there are gorgeous. The demons and everything. He draws the dragons. Oh my God. And when he fights monsters, it's a fight. I mean, you see it. Yeah. Berserk is my favorite monster series.
People keep telling me to read Berserk. What about
it's brutal, but it's not quite as brutal as those other series.
Beautiful art. I like it.
It's immaculate. The writing is so layered. Just John, just for the writing alone, the art is superb. You're never gonna. It's probably one of the best comic artists ever, Kentaro Miura. And on top of that, his ability to write in layers the way he did, superb. Especially how did you read it, Tony?
Oh yes, I've read it. Yes,
all the way up to the end of Golden Arc. You were like, what? And then after Golden Arc, you're like, oh, this all makes sense, and it's really weird and interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. 30 years of reading that book. I'm not going to get an ending that I wanted, but unfortunately, rest in peace.
Yes.
Man worked himself to death.
Tony, what is your favorite monster comic?
My favorite horror comic is not it's I mentioned it earlier, the Dracula stuff that Marvel put out in the black and white magazines, because that's
no, Tomb of Dracula was the comic.
Huh?
Tomb of Dracula was the comic.
Yeah, the magazine. The I forgot what they were called, but the black and white stuff. I have an omnibus of it in the other room. But beautiful art, black and white art, very much they took it seriously. It wasn't super villains. It was like the way he was from the book. I really enjoyed that. I love the EC stuff, even though some of those stories are kind of cheesy now. Al Feldstein, Johnny Craig, those guys were legends. I just for the art alone, the EC Tales from the Crypt, Tales of the Vault of Horror, and The Haunted Fear. Those were really good, really solid stories. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I got to go with Swamp Thing.
Mm.
All the way from the beginning, like the Bernie Wrightson was pure horror. Was it Bernie Wrightson, Len Wein? And it was like all the tropes. He was a swamp monster.
Mm-hmm.
He fought Anton Arcane, the scientist who was like trying to steal bodies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went into like human psychology. To me, one of the scariest comics of all time is the unfortunate Martin Pascal run that happened right before Alan Moore that nobody ever talks about, but it was excellent in his own right. There was a couple. It was I forget what the man did, but a woman reporter, and they were being hunted by General Sutherland,
Mm-hmm.
who ended up being the one who captured Swamp Thing and killed him, and then gave him to Woodrow to dissect. So,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the first one killed by Swamp Thing when he came back. But they kind of went off, and we've kind of lost track of them. And then later on, Alan Moore brings them back, and they're crazy, and he becomes a monster. This woman is just a shut-in, and she's afraid to come. So they go to hotel rooms. He's like, Sutherland's going to get you, and she's totally dependent upon her. She's like fear slave, and then he's going out and shopping, and like he thinks everybody like. Yeah, he's a bad guy, but at the same time, he's completely damaged too. And they have this horrible like codependency on each other, and it's terrifying. And Alan Moore wrote in the letters page that this was based on a family member that he knew, that basically something like this happened, like became like a prisoner of her like husband who was super paranoid. I found that to be so freaking scary. Again, stuff that can happen is scary.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite monster comic is Swamp Thing. It went from horror, classic gothic horror of lightning over the castle and bats, to like sci-fi when he goes to space, to fantasy even when he goes to other worlds. And then superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. That's my favorite monster comic. So there you go. We've been talking for two hours. Jack Schick. Those comics were pretty scary. The Schick tracks. Yeah. If we're counting, manga's a comic. Hellsing for comics. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Manga is, it's we're also counting French comics and, Norwegian comics.
John, I dropped two links for you. The first link is where you can read that Bibliomania.
Okay.
For both of you guys. The second link is some Berserk art for you. So you can take a look at it. And you'll see why it's so good.
Every time I talk to Rini, who does Fiendish, she brings up it's her favorite comic of all time.
Yeah, it's just on such a different level.
I would have loved to have seen him illustrate some Robert E. Howard Conan stuff. Could you imagine how great that would have looked?
It would have been insane.
Could you imagine him covering Worms of the Earth from Bran McMorrin? Oh man, that would have been.
Are you picking up Dynamite's Conan right now?
Yeah. The Buscema art clone kind of throws me off because I know he's dead, but it looks like he's still drawing the comic.
It's very close.
I haven't read it yet because I'm missing a few issues. So when I get the issues that I'm missing, I'll read it all.
It's not very. There might be one or two that are episodic. Most of it is just parts of his life. So you can miss issues and still read it.
That's Conan, right? You can read any Conan story in any order.
Yeah, and they stay with that tradition in the series. That's what I like.
Yeah. So what do you guys think next week? What should be the next
patriotic superheroes?
What did you say?
I like that.
Patriotic superheroes.
Patriotic superheroes. Okay. Who's your favorite patriotic superhero? Okay.
There you go. You have a whole bunch. I can think of that.
Is Crimson Dynamo a patriotic superhero for Russia?
Yeah, you can use that. Yeah, you can use the
Anybody else want-
Red Brigade. Yeah.
Boris, no. Anton, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so patriotic.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
Not necessarily United States. Like I'm sure there's a, Captain Britain.
Yeah.
Patriotic superhero. Yeah. So
Dude, if they give Henry Cavill Captain Britain, I would not complain. If they did Captain Britain right with Henry
I don't
Cavill.
trust Marvel to do anything right anymore.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I even brought it up. I gave myself hope. Why? Thanks for crushing me, Tony. I appreciate it.
2 hours is long enough. So we'll start with you, Tony. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to bring up?
Happy Halloween, everyone, and buy Heroic Tales.
Yep. It'll be here next week, I'm hoping. Arkham, anything?
No, just everybody treat each other with some respect. Love each other a little bit more and enjoy it. It's November 1st in a couple hours, and it's a new month. Let's start producing.
Yep. I'm hoping to have like a lot of stuff next year. I think I figured out what I can handle. I think I figured out the people that I could work with, and I'm hoping next year is going to be a big year for Longbox Comics. I just have to laugh because the people that are busting my chops is just like one of the guys just like, hey, you're broke, you're bankrupt, and I'm like, first off, I'm not, but second off, I go, stop it, you're making me sound like a superhero. I said, I broke my neck and I went bankrupt and I still managed to put out 2 comics.
While they sit on their ass.
I said, man, I am awesome. And that was funny.
Everybody loves an underdog, John.
So
That is true.
So I got all of these obstacles thrown at me, and I'm still making comics. What's their excuse? So that kind of stopped busting my balls after that. But and I got one leg, and I burst into flames at midnight. Like what else? Let's make it all crazy. But anyway, Rogue Tales 2, it's at the printers. I'm hoping to get it next week. Next week we'll do Patriotic Heroes. There was something else I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember. I don't know if I'm going to stream tomorrow, but Sunday I'm going to do I think it's X-Men 109. I think it's the first appearance of Vindicator. Last week was the first John Byrne, Terry Austin X-Men. And I'm going to continue with the X-Men until, maybe I'll throw in like a Swamp Thing or something like that, every once in a while.
What's the Secrets 92, John?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Honestly, John, I think 109 is literally the beginning of the great 30-year run.
Oh, yeah.
I think it is because that's the introducing of Vindicator, aka Guardian. What's his name? His wife's name is Heather. I'm trying to remember his name.
James McDonald Douglas.
Yeah,
can't believe I know that.
He's a great character, and that helps create Alpha Flight. So this is the beginning of so much. Is X-Men 109? I think it's way more important than people give it props for, in my opinion.
Oh, and Old Dirty Fatty, if you're having problems, email me at johnslongbox@yahoo.com and we'll figure out what's going on. All right, Old Dirty Fatty, if you're still watching, if you're having problems with the website, that means because somebody just backed 2 days ago, so I don't know what's going on. But if you're having problems, email me. We'll figure it out. All right. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you. And at that point, we'll say goodbye, kids.
Tony just fell down.
Yep, Tony fell down.